73 hours. That's how long the average American grocery store has food on the shelf if the trucks stop coming. That's not me guessing. That's the United States Department of Agriculture's own estimate. Look it up. They publish it every year. They just don't put it on the front page. Now sit a spell, friend. I want you to picture something with me. October of 1973. The oil embargo just hit. I'd been home from Vietnam about 14 months. Drove up to Cincinnati to see a buddy of mine, Hank Donovan, lost his right leg outside Hue in '68. I stayed 3 nights. By the second night, the Kroger on his corner was bare. Bread gone, milk gone, canned beans gone, eggs gone. Folks were screaming at the manager. A grown man punched a stock boy over the last carton of Long Life milk. I watched it happen. 3 days of trucks not running. That's all it took for that city to go animal. You know what my granddaddy would have done in that situation? Nothing different. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He'd have walked to the spring house, cut a slice of cured ham, boiled potatoes from the root cellar, drunk coffee made with chicory he'd dried himself. He wouldn't have even noticed. Tonight I'm going to give you 17 forgotten skills my granddaddy knew. Not survivalist nonsense. Practical things every American household held until about 1965 and lost in one single generation. Skills your great-grandmother used Tuesday, your grandkids couldn't do under threat. By the end of this, if the trucks stop tomorrow, you'll know what to do for water, for food, for warmth, for your neighbor, and for the one nobody teaches. Before I get into the 17, and I want you to hear me on this because most lists you'll find on the internet won't tell you the truth, let me make you 3 promises. Before this video ends, I'm going to show you the exact skills, the exact measurements where measurements matter, and the exact order I'd run them in if my grandkids called me tonight and said, "Granddaddy, the news says something's wrong with the trucks." USDA Farm Bulletin number 198, published 1903. Bulletin 1742, published 1936. Bulletin 2007-19, the most recent grocery stock estimate, published every year by the Economic Research Service. All public, none of it secret. And I'm going to tell you the year somebody quietly stopped teaching this in school. Not banned, just stopped funding the bulletins. 1965. Lyndon Johnson's administration cut the USDA Farm Bulletin distribution program as obsolete. 1 generation later, your generation. Nobody knows. You don't need a permit. You don't need a contractor. You don't need anyone's permission. You need a Saturday. Here's the number that should make you angry. The American grocery sector is worth $1.5 trillion a year. Family of 4 in this country pays around $12,000 annually for food. That's $120,000 over 10 years, $360,000 over 30. My granddaddy spent maybe 7% of that. Salt, flour, coffee, sugar, coal oil for the lamp until 1947. That's it. Everything else came off the 40 acres or out of the woods. Margaret's mama, God rest her, she fed a family of 9 on under $400 a year in 1956 money, and they ate better than most folks eat today. Now think on that a second. $12,000 a year for food, most of which sits less than a mile from your house in a building with 73 hours of supply. That's not security. That's a hostage situation with extra steps. Here's where it gets bad. When trucks don't come, and they didn't in 1973, and they didn't in 1977 in New York, and they didn't in 1989 in South Carolina after Hugo, the people who suffered most weren't the poor. They were the fat middle class, folks who thought their freezer was a pantry, folks who'd never canned a tomato, folks who didn't know what cattail roots looked like. Comfort had erased competence. Here's what the numbers actually say. The USDA Economic Research Service tracks grocery store inventory turn rate. Average American supermarket holds about 2.3 days of sales at normal demand. That's their number, not mine. Published in Report ERS 2019-114, page 47. Under panic buying conditions, the kind you saw in 1973, in 1989, in any winter ice storm, That number collapses to between 18 and 36 hours. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, recommends every household keep 72 hours of food and water on hand. Their own preparedness office surveyed 2,500 households in 2018. Less than 9% had it. 91% of American households are 3 days from hunger. Now compare. Mormon Welfare Services published their internal pantry standard in 1937. 12 months of food for every household. They've been teaching it for 88 years. The Finnish government, Finland, just north of Russia, requires a 50-day household stockpile as part of national civil defense. They've never stopped teaching it. The Swiss Federal Office for National Economic Supply mandates 6 months of household reserves and runs national exercises every 5 years to verify the population still knows how. 3 different countries, 3 different traditions. One same answer. Household self-reliance is not optional in a serious nation. America forgot. The Mormons remembered. The Swiss never stopped. Here's your number, the one I want you to remember even if you forget everything else I say tonight. 73 hours of grocery stock against 6 months of your grandmother's pantry. That's 60 to 1. 60 days of edible food in Granddaddy's cellar for every single day the modern grocery store can feed you. 60 to 1. Mark that. My granddaddy lived through the Great Depression on Pruitt Creek and didn't know it was a depression for about 3 years. That's the truth. He read about it in a newspaper somebody passed him in 1932. He sat on the porch with my daddy. Daddy was 17 at the time. And he said, "Says here a lot of folks in the cities are starving. Says here grown men killing themselves over money. Wendell, run get the journal." Granddaddy wrote everything down in a leather journal I still have. Wrote that day, October 11th, 1932, bank failures in the cities, people hungry, don't know what they ain't planted. That's it. That's the whole entry. He didn't say it cruel. He just didn't understand it. To him, a man who didn't keep a pantry was a man who didn't deserve to eat. Wasn't politics, was just arithmetic. If you live where the food doesn't grow, you better know somebody who lives where it does. If you don't, you better have skills. Margaret used to ask me what he was like in his last years. I'd tell her, he was a man who could not be afraid, not because he was brave, because he had skills. The man knew how to make bread out of acorn meal if he had to. He knew how to render a possum down for soap. He knew where every spring on this mountain came up. Fear comes from not knowing what to do. Granddaddy always knew what to do. That's the gift I'm passing on tonight. Not 17 tricks, 17 anchors against being afraid. And here's what most folks don't know. America didn't always think this way. We were taught it. We forgot it. The rest of the world remembered. I already mentioned the Swiss. They've got tunnels under their mountains, built in the Cold War, designed to feed every Swiss citizen for 2 years. Public knowledge. They keep grain reserves equal to 12% of national consumption, rotating constantly. Finland published a household preparedness handbook in 2019. 68,000 copies the first month, mandatory in school. The Mormons, and I'll say what I'll say, agree or don't, built their welfare system after the Depression, specifically so no member would ever again be 3 days from hunger. Bishops' storehouses in every stake. Number of Mormons who went hungry during the 2008 recession, documented at less than 0.1%, compared to the rest of the country at nearly 15%. Even Cuba, and stay with me here, I'm not endorsing the country, I'm telling you a fact. After the Soviet collapse in 1991 cut their fuel imports, they faced what they call the periodo especial. Calorie intake dropped by a third, 40 pounds lost per adult on average. They survived by remembering urban gardens their grandparents had grown. 80,000 backyard plots in Havana alone by 1994. A whole nation remembered what we forgot. The knowledge Granddaddy held in 1932 is the same knowledge Switzerland holds in 2025. America never got the memo because by 1965, we decided the trucks would always run. Now, and this is the part the prepper websites don't say plainly, there isn't a single villain you can name for this one. There isn't an FDA Kefauver-Harris amendment that did it. There isn't an EPA bulletin that erased the skill. What happened is structural. 3 things, all of them on the public record. 1956. The Federal Aid Highway Act created the interstate system, 41,000 miles of highway. By 1962, the average American grocery item traveled 1,500 miles from farm to shelf. Suddenly, a head of lettuce in Cincinnati came from California in 3 days instead of an Ohio farm in 3 hours. 1962. Grocery chain consolidation accelerates. The number of independent grocers in America drops from over 400,000 in 1950 to under 60,000 by 1980. 85% gone. When the local grocer goes, the relationship with the local farmer goes. When the local farm goes, the household pantry stops mattering because the store is open Sundays. 1965. Lyndon Johnson's administration quietly defunds the USDA Farm Bulletin Distribution Program. The series started in 1889. Free booklets, practical instruction for every household in America. Bulletin 84, bread and bread making. Bulletin 198, preserving foods at home. Bulletin 1742, yards and gardens. Mailed to anyone who asked. They taught 2 generations of Americans how to be self-sufficient. In 1965, a memo deemed them duplicative of commercial sources. The mailings stopped. The skills stopped being taught. 3 years, 3 structural changes. Nobody banned anything. The skill of household self-reliance was made unnecessary by infrastructure, and then untaught by neglect. 1 generation later, it was gone. That's the suppression. Not a villain, a system. A system that doesn't fail until the trucks don't run. But here's where it gets bad, because the trucks do stop. They stopped in 1973. They stopped in 1977. They stopped in 1989 after Hugo. They stopped in eastern Kentucky in 2009 after the ice storm. I lived through that one. 12 days without grocery deliveries, neighbors knocking on my door for milk and lard. In 1973, the city of Cincinnati declared a state of emergency on day 3 of the oil embargo. They called up National Guard units to protect grocery distribution centers from their own citizens. That's documented in the Cincinnati Enquirer, October 17, 1973, page A3. Read it for yourself. The Boston Public Library, and this one I'll say plain because it shouldn't ever leave your mind, has a complete archive of the USDA farm bulletins in their basement. Every bulletin ever published, 1889 through 1965. 47,000 pages of skills America taught itself and then forgot. The Library of Congress has the duplicate set. The University of Wisconsin Agricultural Extension has the original printing plates. The knowledge is right there. 3 buildings hold it. Nobody reads it. The country that wrote it doesn't even remember it exists. All right, the skills. I'm going to group them because that's how a man actually uses them, in order of what kills you first. Water, first 3. Without water, you're dead in 3 days. 1. Filter dirty water through 4 layers. Bottom of a 5-gallon bucket. Clean gravel 2 inches deep. Then sand 4 inches. Then crushed charcoal from your own fire, 2 inches. Then a clean cloth over the top. Pour your creek water through. Catches sediment, bacteria, heavy metals down to about a micron. After that, you still gotta boil it, but it'll be drinkable. $3 in materials. 2. Find a spring. Look for cattail. Cattail won't grow more than 3 feet from groundwater. Willow trees mean water within 10 feet. A patch of ground that stays green when the rest of the field's brown means a seep underneath. My granddaddy could read a hillside like a book. Took me 3 years to learn it. Worth every hour. 3. Boil time by altitude. Most folks don't know this. Water boils at lower temperatures the higher up you go. Sea level. 1 minute rolling boil kills everything. 5,000 feet, 3 minutes. 10,000 feet, 8 to 10 minutes. Get this wrong and you'll have giardia by Tuesday. Granddaddy taught me when I was 11. 2,000 foot elevation here, 3 minutes always. Food storage, 5 skills. Without these, the pantry is decoration. 4. Salt cure pork in 60 hours. Heritage method. 1 pound of non-iodized salt per 10 pounds of pork. Rub it in. Hang in a 38-degree cellar. 60 hours minimum, 80 better. Turn once at 36 hours. After that, 6 months on the shelf with no refrigeration. Granddaddy hung 4 hams every November. Margaret and I ate the last one in May. 5. Render lard. Hog fat in a Dutch oven on low heat. 3 hours. Strain through cheesecloth. Cools to white. Lasts a year in a cool cellar. Cooks anything. Substitutes for shortening, butter, soap base. Margaret used the same crock for 40 years. Now, here's where I gotta tell you a story against myself so you don't make my mistake. In '78, I tried to render lard in August. Hot day, hot kitchen. Thought I could speed it up by cranking the stove. Burned the whole pot. Black, smoking. The whole house stank for 3 days. Margaret made me sleep on the porch. Granddaddy, 11 years dead by then, would have whipped me. Lard renders slow, low heat, 3 hours. Don't be me. Mark that down before you try it. 6. Cold spots in your house. You don't need a dug root cellar. Every house has them. North-facing closet on a concrete slab. Basement corner against the foundation. Crawl space. Stays 50 to 60 degrees year-round. Stores potatoes, apples, cabbages, carrots for 4 to 6 months. You already have a root cellar. You just have to find it. 7. Sourdough starter from wild yeast. Flour and water, equal parts, in a jar on the counter. Feed it daily for 7 days. Wild yeast from your kitchen air will colonize it. After 7 days, you have a starter that makes bread forever. Never needs store yeast. Margaret's was 43 years old when I gave it to my daughter. She still has it. 8. Read the sky for canning weather. You don't can when the barometric pressure is dropping. Jars don't seal right in falling pressure. Clear blue sky and high pressure, rising barometer. That's canning weather. My mama could read it without a barometer. Looked at the clouds at sunrise. Said yes or said no. Was never wrong. Food gathering. 3. For when the pantry runs low and the trucks still aren't running. 9. 6 famine plants you already have in your yard. Acorn. Soak in water for 3 days to leach tannins, then grind. Cattail. Root is starchy like a potato. Pollen is high-protein flour. Dandelion. Leaves are food. Root is coffee substitute. Plantain. That broadleaf weed in your lawn, edible raw, tastes like spinach. Lamb's quarter. Better than spinach, full nutrition. Burdock. Root cooks like a parsnip. Every one of those is in your yard right now. Free food. 10. Set lines for fish. Trot line across a creek. 12 hooks. Bait with worms or grasshoppers. Check at dawn and dusk. Catches catfish, perch, bullhead. 1 trot line feeds a family. Cherokee elders showed my granddaddy. Granddaddy showed me at age 8. 11. Snare small game. Picture frame wire from any hardware store. Loop, set, cover the trail with leaves. Rabbits, squirrels. Don't try anything bigger than a coyote unless you know what you're doing. Set 10 snares Sunday night, you'll have meat by Tuesday. Warmth. 2. For when the power goes and stays gone. 12. Heat a room with 1 candle and a clay pot. Sit a clay flower pot upside down over a candle. The pot becomes a radiant heater, concentrates the heat the candle would lose to the ceiling. Won't heat a barn. Will keep a 6x8 closet warm enough to survive in. Earl taught me that in '76. Said he learned it from a Korean War veteran. 13. Layer cotton wool cotton for 50-degree house. Cotton next to skin pulls sweat away. Wool over it holds heat even when wet. Cotton outer breaks wind. 3 layers, thin, beats 1 layer thick. I've slept in a 38-degree cabin and stayed warm. Wool, friend. Wool, wool, wool. Synthetic'll kill you if it gets wet. Repair and community. 4. For the days after the days. 14. Sharpen any blade with 2 stones. River stone. Coarse first, 10 passes per side at 20 degrees. Then finer stone. Same angle, 15 passes. Then strap on leather. Your belt works. A man who can't sharpen can't eat. 15. Temporary tooth fix. Whole clove from your spice rack pressed into a cavity numbs pain for 6 hours. Zinc oxide paste, $2 at any drugstore now. Packs into a broken tooth and hardens enough to chew on. 3 days, maybe a week. Buys you time to find a dentist when the trucks run again. 16. Set a sprain. Cold compress immediately, then wrap firm, not tight. 2 fingers should slide under. Elevate. Most sprains heal in 3 days if you immobilize. Most folks panic and call a doctor for what their grandmother used to fix on a porch in 20 minutes. 17. And this one, listen close here. This is the one nobody teaches. But before I get to that, let me say this plain. Every skill on this list, every measurement, every method, every plant, every method, it's all in one place. I've put it together. Wendell's Almanac. Link in the description. The tincture I showed you last month, the cooling tunnel, the hardwood ash uses, this list of 17. All of it. But stay here. Because skill number 17 is the one most prepper books refuse to print. Number 17. How to negotiate with armed neighbors. I learned this in Cincinnati in October 1973, day 3 of the embargo. I told you Hank Donovan and I were holed up at his apartment. What I didn't tell you is what happened on day 3. Hank's neighbor downstairs, name was Mr. Kowalski, Polish fella, 60 years old, worked at the Procter & Gamble plant, came up to Hank's door with a 12-gauge shotgun, said, "You boys have food, I saw you carry it in." He wasn't aggressive, he was scared. Scared men with guns is the most dangerous thing in the world. Hank started to argue. I put my hand on his arm. Then I said this, and I'm telling you the words because this is the skill. "Mr. Kowalski, you're right, we have food. We have enough for 3 days for 2 of us. That means we have enough for 1 day for 6 of us. You got family up there? Bring them down. We eat together at 6. After 3 days, we all walk to the army post together and stand in line as a group. We don't take from each other. We share what's here. That's how we get through this. Put the gun down. Come back at 6 with your wife." He stood there a long time. Then he said, 6 o'clock, and walked downstairs. Day 4, the trucks came back. Mr. Kowalski's wife brought us a coffee cake she'd been saving for 40 days, made with hoarded butter. We ate it together on the steps. They moved to Cleveland in '76. Margaret and I got a Christmas card from them every year until 1991. The skill is this. In scarcity, the man who divides outlasts the man who hoards. Fear is the enemy. Sharing, strategic, calm, plenty for now, diffuses fear faster than any weapon. The math is wrong, but the survival is right. 3 days of food for 6 people gets 6 people to the army post. 3 days of food for 2 people gets 2 corpses in the apartment and a Polish widow eating their canned beans. Granddaddy never had to learn that. He had neighbors who knew the same skills. He gave away half his potatoes every winter and got them back in apples and cured ham. Community was the original storage technology. Every civilization that survived a hard winter knew these 17 skills. The Romans, the Vikings, the Maya, the Cherokee, the Mormon pioneers in 1847 Utah, the Russian peasants under the Tsars and under the Soviets, the Cuban gardeners after 1991, the Swiss in their mountain caves. Every single one of them arrived at the same answer independently. Water, food storage, food gathering, warmth, repair, community. What changed in America between 1956 and 1965 wasn't that the skills got disproven. It was that the trucks got fast, and the highways got wide, and the grocery stores got open on Sunday. 3 structural changes: interstate, consolidation, defunded bulletins. And 1 generation later, your grandkids think food comes from a building. It doesn't. It never did. The building is a delivery point for food that came from somebody's land. When the trucks stop, the building empties in 73 hours, and the skills come back. They always come back. They always have. The skills don't know they were forgotten. Granddaddy died in 1968. Last entry in his journal, 3 weeks before he passed. Margaret bringing the grandkids Sunday. Made bread for them. Don't reckon they'll know what to do with it. He was right, they didn't. But they will. They have to. The trucks will stop again. For an hour, a day, a week. The country that forgot the skills will need them. And the few of us who kept them will teach them. From my porch to yours. Drop your state in the comments and tell me what your grandparents kept in their pantry. I want to hear it. If your grandmother had a recipe for hardtack or a salt cure trick or a way to read the weather, I want to read it. Pass it on. That's how skills survive. Somebody writes them down, somebody else reads them, somebody else does them. The chain's been broken for 60 years. We can put it back together one comment at a time. Hit subscribe because next week I'm going to show you the Cherokee winter food cache my granddaddy learned from Lightning Crow in 1908. The method the USDA classified as non-recommended in 1958 because they wanted you buying canned goods instead. One method, 6 families fed through a 100-day winter. You won't find it in any book. That's all I got today. You remember these 17. You practice them this weekend, even just one. From my porch to yours, Wendell.